Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up.
Good morning, Vietnam. I'm Mayer Dallal, the host of Money Matrix Podcast, where smart money finds a smarter way. Today we have with us
Jason Mantione, Boca Raton, Florida.
Jason Rod out of Arizona, holding it down.
Yes, sir.
Alan Hastings, California West Coast representative.
We have some interesting topics here on our agenda. I think it's going to be pretty heated. We have the Department of Energy loan controversy in the 76-day period between when Trump was elected and when he got into office. The Department of Energy gave out initially something to be thought of $93 billion in loans to all different random non-for-profits, etc., that had no business plans, no business, no nothing, and it was $93 billion just doled out. So we're going to talk about that. Alan was very pro that, and I was shocked about that, but it is what it is. The next thing we're talking about is the Washington Post claims Donald Trump had ties to Jeffrey Epstein, but was not involved in anything nefarious. Alan rebutes that. He has proof that Trump was there at Epstein Island. And the last one, which is really going to be my favorite one, Nancy Pelosi is an insider trader. That's the bottom line. She tripled her wealth in a matter of 10 years, 20 years, all through insider trading. Alan feels she did it the right way, so we're going to talk about that too.
Yes, I agree. I put CNN on last night, and I watch it just to see how bad they're beating up my boy. They had a headline on there, and it said, Trump's critics are even admitting that he's winning.
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place.
That was on CNN. So I'd love to just know, like, real quick, how do we feel about that? They're saying that he's winning on extreme left platforms.
Can I say
I love
something?
it. Even Jake Tapper's coming around right now. He's starting to ask Pelosi hard questions. Asked her about Pelosi and her trading, and yesterday she was like, well, I didn't agree to come in and talk about that.
But Alan, I know you were running around playing that Charlie Sheen winning thing. Remember when he went through his like crazy thing where he just started winning and he tiger bomb and like having tiger extract in his body?
Oh, yeah. Didn't he tiger blood or something?
Yes. So Alan was like winning, and I guess that's was for the Democrats recognizing that Trump is doing well and he's winning.
Listen, there was this big thing where Jake Tapper released the Biden book about his health issues. That's the same guy. Yeah. So there was a lot of people on the left who were like criticizing him for that. And it's a very interesting way that both the medias like operate, right? CNN, I don't know if it's because they want to garner views or bring in other crowds, but the right side of the media doesn't appeal to the left at all. They don't even try. CNN, especially on the business sides of things, they try very hard to appear middle of the road, even when they're not. No, you guys can laugh it up. But like, I guarantee you, if you were to go on Fox for the last 6-7 years, you would not see one positive headline at all. But it's interesting that CNN does occasionally go like, Trump wins, great Trump deal, this, that, or the other. Are they trying to win over another audience? Is that their feeble attempt at whatever? I don't think that
Democratic Party is trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out who to go after and who's gonna be their next person. Yeah. By the way, I heard something crazy, Alan. I don't know if you can verify this. I heard Biden got lost in his closet in the White House. Is that true?
I didn't hear about that, but there was a crazy piece of information which you guys may have heard is that Kamala is not going to run for seats anymore in California.
Yeah,
she's not going to be running anywhere.
She's a washout.
Did you see the Hunter Biden interview? Yeah, I watched a good portion of it. I guess because he has immunity, he was real candid, talking about drug abuse and how he's in recovery now. He had a rough go at it, and it's interesting. I have to say, I don't hate Hunter Biden, but I had a bad perception of who he was. After watching this interview, I feel bad for the guy.
Super personal when you really get to know their story. I agree.
Yeah, he's not the president's son. This is just an addict that just got lost in the sauce. But as a person, you feel bad for him. But I'll tell you, he says some stuff, and I was like, wow, he just said that? Like, he could get away with saying something like that?
Yeah, now he's free.
When his dad actually signed his pardon, it was okay. The rest of them were auto pens, so none of them were talking.
Can he steal now? Could he go to a gas station and take something?
In California.
Yeah, he'll go through that whole program where the judge will the rehab
Well, he
program.
explains to you how smoking crack is better for you than drinking alcohol. Goes through a whole thing on, that's when I shut it off. But
all right, so let's do what we're talking about. According to the current Secretary of the Department of Energy, Christopher Wright, for that 76-day period, the Biden administration approved $93 billion in loans and commitments from the Department of Energy to different non-for-profits and organizations. The representative, I think his last name is Kennedy, who was grilling him and saying, how do you do due diligence in 76 days, 93 billion? He said, let alone one loan usually takes that long. He's like, yeah, we didn't do any due diligence. Then they did some fact checking and they said it was between 68 billion to 77 billion. How do you justify abuse of power like that? And these are all corporations that are non-existent, no financials, no business, no nothing. Alan, how does that work in the Biden administration?
First things first, they were not no documentation businesses we've never heard of, not-for-profits. For instance, Rivian got almost $7 billion to build an EV factory in Georgia. Star Plus Energy, which is a joint venture between Samsung and a company called Stellantis, got almost $8 billion. $10 billion went to Ford. Go, an EV charging network startup, got $1 billion. Public chargers.
Was that in the 76-day period?
Yes, I've actually got the list. And there's some fun
because
ones.
they did get money from the Department of Energy, but it
Correct.
wasn't slammed through in the 76-day period that it was referring to. You need to check that because they specifically...
This is only between the end of 2024 and the start of 2025, the ones I'm listing right now.
Yep.
So, for instance, here's another one. We have Public Gas and Electric in California got approved for $15 billion to modernize its power grid. Like, these are not small loans to random companies.
That they were specifically going after were NGOs with no business plan, no financials, nothing of the sort at all. They just came.
Do you have
in. I don't have the list of the names because they didn't list them, but this was a direct testimony at Congress by the Secretary Christopher White.
Yeah, where he did lie about how much, and he did lie about what it went to.
Like, it was 77. Needless to say.
That's what I'm saying.
The question I have, though, is at the end of the day, is there any type of wrongdoing in that? Do you see? Yes, you pointed out, well, let's say $30 billion, even $40 billion. Let's give it that went to good companies. But what about the rest? Do you get upset about that at all? This is your country. This is your taxpayer money too. Does that not bother you fundamentally that this is happening?
I agree. And I think that any administration on its way out or its way in does things too rapidly. They do things without proper paperwork. I think this is a symptom of the same thing as the pardons, where it's, all right, we're going to get ousted. They're not going to do what we want to do. Let's get as much done in the last 10 minutes as possible. And I don't think that's right either, especially when it comes to handling billions of dollars. However, if these are the kinds of things that there's a problem with, they should be able to just redo. This is not like those loans can't be recalled. They can't be brought back. And I hope they do. If there's scams, like you're saying, some non-for-profit in the middle of Washington that got $1 billion, let's get it back for sure. I don't agree with the rush, but it looks like what they tried to do is just follow
back. How are you going to try to claw back money? They're going to tell you, sorry, we don't have it.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that there was 53 of these loans issued in the entire Biden-Harris administration, and 27 of that 53 happened in this 76-day period. Don't quote me. I don't want to say I'm lying. But
no, that's correct.
That's the problem.
2.5 times. It's literally 2.5 times of a total 15-year period. This 76 days was 2.5 times. It seemed like a trend that a lot of things were done jamming it in the last minute, which, again, I'm glad to say that at least you're not completely defending that there was wrongdoing. So I'm happy about that.
I think it's pretty clear they thought they were going to lose, and they wouldn't have done this if they thought they were going to win. Just saying, if they thought they were going to lose,
Alan.
All right, so this is another interesting one, Alan. I think you're going to fight me on this one. The Washington Post, the minute I brought this up, you sent an email right away. That's fake news. It can't be corroborated. It has to be fact-checked. So... tell me, we speak a lot about this Epstein stuff because it's pretty crazy, and what happened legitimately obviously is wrong. I don't condone it by any means,
not at all,
because that's disgusting. So that's first. And at the same time, we've seen a lot of people, names float around, and I'm sure there's so many more that we probably won't even hear of. Unfortunately, I think Epstein had a whole leverage system over a lot of different people. And I'm sure that's how he did what he did and navigated for such a period of time before it unraveled. But the fact that the Washington Post says that they feel that Trump was there, his name is there, but nothing bad happened. He wasn't involved in any of that. Does that make you feel better that your president was not involved?
Jason, what do you think?
Myself?
Yeah.
I think innocent until proven guilty. And I think the latest thing from Schumer trying to go ahead and get every single file and everything sent to Congress. I could see a report going to Congress, but it's, in a way, I feel like it's a big witch hunt trying to find him in something, which by all means we should vet the president and make sure that he isn't, because if he's a POS, right? But when it comes down to it. Innocent until proven guilty, man, and just stand guard on the witch hunt. You got to understand this guy's been having everybody come at him for everything. Gotcha politics, impeached twice. His last presidency, the Steele dossier, and all these different things that have happened. You blame him for being a little bit standoffish. From the facts that they're bringing out, he came up 14 times in the books. He was on his plane 8 times. They had a falling out over a real estate project in Palm Beach. How many times do you hear Trump say, those are very fine people, those are good people? He says that to everybody. He's a businessman. So for them to come in and basically hit him up and say, hey, I feel like it's a big gotcha. They're not asking about all these other people that have been accused. They're only worried about crazy.
What's crazy is Clinton was the darling of the Democratic Party. Back in the day, he was their prized possession. They had him on a pedestal. He had the Lewinsky situation, and then he was at the island. There's no doubt about that. He was there multiple times, but no one even says anything because he's a past president. There has to be some form of look back and say that doesn't make sense that we're trying to go after someone who there is so far nothing. It's just like Jason said, a witch hunt. Alan, what's your thoughts about that? It's your president too.
I think a couple things. One, first things first, you're right that if someone on the left or the right is on the list, get them. I don't care if it was 20 years ago. I don't care if it was Obama, Hillary, Kamala, Biden. Get them all. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be like, you guys playing politics. No, get the people who did it. I'm fine with whatever. Next thing, saying that the Washington Post is some kind of authority on this, I did email you immediately after. I was like, I can't really verify this because I don't believe it's a real source. The truth is, Glenn Kessler, the guy who wrote the piece, was Washington Post's fact checker for 20 years. If there's a journalist who would want to believe, it would be the fact checker. So the article has some credibility. The article basically states that there's no solid evidence that links Trump to the crimes. However, you can't deny the evidence that we do have. And they say that there's connections, but you can't make the statement that he's guilty because we don't have the smoking gun. Saying that it's playing politics is silly. Democrats had the list the whole time as well. We were in charge for the last 4 years. We could have released it. The reason it's brought up now is not the Democrats playing politics. It was brought up by Trump and his administration during their campaign. Their FBI director and the guy under him were like, the first thing we do and get in office is going to reveal the Epstein list, get all these people out. It's the first thing they promised. Pam Bondy has it on her desk. Now it never existed. Now Obama and Hillary wrote it. Trump goes on national TV, goes, yeah, the Democrats, Obama and Hillary wrote the list. They wrote the files. If it wasn't so ridiculous and stupid, if what he was saying wasn't so crazy, I would almost believe that 20 years ago he flew with the guy, but maybe he didn't visit the island. His staunch defense that he is somehow not involved and saying a different thing every time he comes out, it's so clear that he's just trying to change the subject that now I do believe that he did some crazy stuff.
And change the subject. If you remember what he did with Liberation Day and what he does with everything, he'll just throw something crazy out and see if it sticks to the wall. And if it's no good, he'll completely ignore it and then throw something else up. And if that sticks, he'll run with it. And that'll be his horse. That's the way he's run his whole administration.
And he's not following the horse. So
got to understand the path that he's on too. He's doing 4 years of major transformation from how the government was run and giving out things. If we focus on one of the campaign promises hasn't come through, let's focus on the 15 that have.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I believe there's a buffer time in there to work this out. And when they're on the campaign, they're like, I'll do this, I'll do that. Free lunch for everybody at school. It takes time to figure it out. And the unwrapping of USAID, Doge, all the politics involved with that, everything else that's been going on with the wars, brokering peace deals internationally and doing all these things and tariffs. The guy's got 500 million things going on. I'm not saying it's an excuse, but at the same time, looking at it realistically, there's only so many people that can work for him and he's got to make the decision. So the evidence isn't right. He's not going to let it go out in a certain way, in my opinion. There's a picture of you at some dinner. So what? I was at dinner. Someone took a picture. Have you ever been to an event like that? They say, hey, can you two get together, take a picture? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
doesn't mean he's on.
And I'm not all about trying to get someone for having dinner with somebody, but being best friends with someone for 10 years, going to their private island, having them in their house constantly. I don't know about best friends. Visiting their house. Also, no, they were best friends for 10 years, admitted by Trump and Epstein. There's also court documents where a woman testified that Trump came to Epstein's house several times. And Epstein's house had pictures of young girls all over the house. And there's no way to go into the house without knowing what was going on. And several women testified that he did. So I'm just saying there's a lot of evidence that something bad happened. I actually linked it this morning, but real quick before I let you go, Jason, the argument that he's busy with other things. This is a 10-minute fix. He has so many people hired. He hired Pam Bondy, and the first thing she said was, I'll do this. It's on my desk. So you can't say that he's distracted by not stopping the war in Ukraine and Russia like he promised.
He's promising things before he had access to the nightmare that he received.
He was president in 2016. The files have been there the whole time.
But we're talking about campaign promises that were made for the 2024 election, correct?
Which he made knowing what he knew when he was already president.
With not knowing the next 4 years or what happened in the previous 4 years in the case and not having access to that. Just saying, you know what I mean? Let's call a spade a spade. He didn't know.
Yes, sure. The guy who was president and best friends with him didn't know anything about it.
Let me just say
Okay,
a couple
and
of things as I would just as a citizen how I would look at it. Number one, it being on Pam Bondy's desk, maybe it wasn't on Pam Bondy's desk. Could it possibly be that between him leaving office and coming back to office that the files, something happened to the files, things were taken out of the files, put in the files? Could that have happened? When you hand me something and it's a file and I know what's in it and I haven't seen it in a few years, I'm assuming everything that was in there 4 years ago is still in there. Open it up and now there aren't names in there. That's number one. Number two, do you honestly believe that if Trump had anything to do with Epstein and his island, they wouldn't have put him in prison the last 4 years? Why is it coming out now? Come on, and I'm done with Congress. I don't really care what anybody says about him anymore. I don't care if somebody comes out and says he murdered my sister. I'm not even looking into it. I'm done with looking into stuff with Trump. You people at Congress, you work for me, the citizen of America. Start doing what you need to do for the people, for my children, for my potential grandchildren. Stop going after this man. Leave it alone. You tried. Maybe in the future, maybe there will be something that he does, but you know what? You've exhausted your options. You gotta let it go. Move on. If Trump had something to do with Epstein, he'd be in prison already. And they just need to stop. That's how I feel. That has nothing to do with politics. This is me as a dad and eventually going to be a granddad. That worry about my kids. I know where I'm going with this whole thing. I'm worried about my kids. And enough is enough. Start working for us.
There's only so many times you can cry wolf.
That's it. Enough.
All right, so let's move on to the next one.
The next wolf.
Right now, according to the numbers, Nancy Pelosi is a better stock trader than Warren Buffett. That's a reality. From historical context, she started entering the spotlight in 2011. That's when people really started noticing. In 2008, when Visa went public, she got a special allocation of 5,000 shares. Special allocation. I don't know. Then she sold Visa in 2004, and this is all on Paul's account, by the way. So none of it is
2004, right?
Yeah, in 2024, she sold 2,000 shares of Visa on July 1st, just a month before the DOJ announced its antitrust lawsuit against the company.
That's funny.
Last year, Pelosi pulled in a little over $1 million on one trade of NVIDIA stock. I remember when it happened because NVIDIA was about to get investigated by the DOJ and she had options. They made $4 million on the options. They sold right before the DOJ went in on NVIDIA. Her husband made $5.3 million off of Google options, and they sold out right before they were going to get sanctioned for antitrust. So how is that fair, Alan, that this happens? Because she knows that it's going to be an antitrust. She knows all of this, and you can't say her timing is so good, better than every stock trader out there. How does that work, in your opinion?
I got a fun note here.
I love it.
You answer right after,
No,
so I'll answer first
he's
things
going
first.
for politics.
No, first things first. Insider trading should not be allowed. If she did it, get her. Don't care. If it's what she's doing, get her. I was actually going to say that it's interesting that we talk about this, but according to our friend from the Washington Post, there's no smoking gun. He's innocent. There's no direct evidence. He definitely didn't do the crime. Can't get Nancy Pelosi. There's no evidence. I don't think that you can look at things like this and be like, yeah,
it's not illegal. That's the truth. It's not
right,
illegal.
But
the law needs to be rewritten.
That's what I'm saying. The same thing as this Trump article. There's no smoking gun. Yeah, we all know. You know what I mean? Nancy Pelosi has no charges. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi has no charges, no investigations for insider tradings. But come on, I agree. There's so many shady things. But if you zoom out a small bit, what does her husband do for a living?
He's a venture. He runs some type of fund.
So do you not think that somehow
fights with his boyfriend at the house?
Do you not think that having a husband whose job it is to do this would benefit her? I'm not saying she doesn't insider trade, but to kind of point at her is a weird one. There's probably way weirder situations where someone who's married to someone who's a venture capitalist who owns an investment firm who does this for a living is making good trades.
Great trades, phenomenal trades.
The combination of them is going to be the best trades anyone's ever seen. Is what I'm saying.
Didn't you say her net worth was $31 million back when?
In the last 20 years, it looks like it's tripled.
She's last I saw was $130 million her net worth.
Yeah.
So that's a big number. You're talking really big numbers. I don't care who her husband is. They're exceptional traders. Ken Griffin, Citadel. You have all of the Renaissance. You have all of these traders. They're her specific trades in specific stocks, or her timing is unbelievable. To go around antitrust stuff or big things happening in Congress.
I get it.
So that really bothers me, because the problem is it's not fair. At the end of the day, why do other people get locked? Look at Martha Stewart. She got locked up for insider trading.
Best thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah, it's true, because she made so much money after. But the point is,
Yeah, no, I agree.
she got locked up and they made an example of her.
Like Trump, they want to talk about Trump putting Teslas on the driveway at the White House, but Nancy Pelosi, it's just, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I mean, come on.
They're all going to do it.
The funny thing is, there are multiple apps that track trading by congressional people, specifically Nancy. Quiver, Quantitative, House Stock Watcher, Unusual Whales, Capital Trades, and they all track specifically Nancy Pelosi's trades, and they say she's the best trader.
Are people actually starting trade? They are.
For years,
If there's 5 apps, I mean,
there's actually apps out there that you pay a monthly subscription to get all of the trading inside of Congressional.
I think it started with a Twitter account where someone on Twitter tracked her trade.
Exactly, because they do ultimately have to report it to some degree. Anything over $1,000, they have to report. So they're saying Nancy Pelosi's portfolio earned 54% in 2024 and is up 92% year to date so far. And that's driven heavily by her stock investments, NVIDIA being one of them.
She looks a little stressed lately, if you ask me.
We don't like when the people who make the rules get to benefit off of making money for whatever those rule changes are. Like, obviously, it's not fair if she's in charge passing bills and she has ownership stock in whatever company that she's passing bills on. That's our claim, is that's not cool.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm following.
Yeah.
So on a similar question, how much do you guys think Donald Trump made off of his crypto coin when he became president?
He made a couple of $100 million easy.
He made $1 billion.
Okay, but
Nancy Pelosi's net worth.
How is that insider trading? He launched a coin and people bought into it. That's not insider trading. That's business.
Yeah.
I'm going
for
forward.
Congress to say something.
I'm going forward with this. We talked about this in our previous episodes, where they're creating bills that regulate crypto. They're also creating the Crypto Federal Reserve, where Trump gets to decide what crypto is going to be in the Federal Reserve. Do you see any conflict of interest with the guy who owns crypto, is clearly involved with crypto, makes money off of crypto, choosing which crypto gets to be in the Federal Reserve and which crypto gets regulated which ways?
I guarantee you he's not going to put his coin as being part of the Federal
Not about
Reserve.
his. Do you not think he's going to buy a bunch of coin and then this is now Federal?
Well, listen,
I'm just saying, you're cool with that?
Bitcoin's going to be there, Ethereum's going to be there, Solana's going to be there, XRP is going to be there, ADA is probably going to be there. You're going to have probably 10 coins that everybody knows, that everybody's been talking about in trading. I don't think you're going to see some off coins the way.
Do you not think Trump's going to, through some network, through some means, buy up all those coins, get ready for whatever?
Look, then you could say the same thing about Michael Saylor, who's invested heavily into Bitcoin. Doesn't matter. He's still been buying it.
That's all that matters.
But you can say, BlackRock. Let me ask you a question. BlackRock. Do you think BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, they're not part of making the rules?
Guaranteed they're lobbying everybody. 100%.
So therefore, it's the same thing you're saying. If you're saying that then you can say that about BlackRock, then you can say that about Vanguard.
I would love to.
Okay, but you can't, because at that point it becomes a conspiracy all over.
I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
Guaranteed they're lobbying and doing all these things. So everyone knows Bitcoin is going to be in there. Ethereum is going to be in there. Those are the most stable coins out there right now. JP Morgan Chase, who was staunchly against crypto, is now saying they're going to allow loans based on people coin holdings. They're going to be an asset swap the same way they let you do it on stocks and you create a margin and you pull off of it. They're going to allow you incorporated. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were also talking about including
crypto
Bitcoin
loans
as reserves. No, not as loans, just allowing it to be reserves.
They're using it to qualify.
But all of these stable coins and everything that are coming out now are all falling into that same line. So I don't see that being an issue, in my opinion. Oh, it's funny. They're now rolled out this new thing called the Pelosi Act, and it stands for preventing elected leaders from owning securities and investments. And basically, it would prevent the members of Congress and their spouses from trading and holding individual stocks, giving them $180. So it's a whole thing revolving all around Pelosi. And look, I know, Alan, you had mentioned something that there are richer other congressmen, Rick Scott and Kevin Hearn, made their money in business.
You don't think they insider trade?
Maybe they do. But the majority of
that's what I'm saying.
Majority of their wealth was made from their business ventures. Kevin Hearn had McDonald's franchises. That's where he made his money. He's got a $300 million net worth. Rick Scott made his money from healthcare. Granted, he was involved in that Medicaid thing. Not him personally, the company, but still, they made their money. Wait, I'm sure they have stock investments, but Pelosi is known for her trading. If you're going to kill someone on the regular public side for doing, why is it fair for a congresswoman or a man to do it?
That's the bottom line.
I agree. Yeah. I don't think that those people should be individually allowed to trade stock. Like, they can invest, let them invest. I'm not going to say they can't invest or make money, but to be able to decide and make those trades themselves, that's where I think that's stupid. I agree.
I think there should be a holding period. If you buy stock, there has to be a specific holding period. There can't be any type of activity surrounded when an announcement comes out or anything like that, because then it's clear.
Purchase where I'm going to buy the stock and you have to wait a month or something.
There's got to be some type of framework put around
term
that.
limits,
and I think it'll be
term limits too.
I can't see it happening like this.
Agree. Term limits.
Let's get behind term limits. We can all agree.
Anyways, I appreciate your time. Anything else good to say? Jay, we couldn't hear you. I guess left us so quickly.
He has to make some quick trades.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.